Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, December 10, 2020. My name is Karen Bowden-Schatz, and I serve as Associate Pastor at First Lutheran Church in Onalaska, Wisconsin. And this is my morning musing out on my patio because it is not too terribly cold, although I think once I get in, I will sit by the fire for a little bit. I was reading the newspaper this morning as I was getting ready as I was waiting for my coffee to be brewed. And the first headline that I saw was that 3,000 people died of the coronavirus yesterday. And that took my breath away a little bit. That's a lot of people to die in one day. And I remember having that same reaction last week when the number was 2,740. And I was trying to wrap my head around not only that number, but the number of people then that were impacted by just one of those deaths. I couldn't do that math in my head. What I did realize was the magnitude of grief that we are carrying as communities in this country right now, as we try very hard to battle this virus. I thought about Desert Storm. I remember Desert Storm. I remember friends whose husbands were being sent over, and it was kind of the first military action that I experienced as an adult. And it was scary. It was scary for a lot of us. It was scary for our community too, because where I lived, there were 2 military bases or air stations. And so military was just a kind of woven in to our community. And so when people were shipped away, it was felt throughout our community. And that was hard. But not everybody in the country kind of felt that. I think we all knew it was happening, but not every community kind of experienced the leaving of people to go to war the ways that those of us who had military bases in our communities did. Or I think of 9/11, that certainly affected our whole country, and we're still dealing with the ramifications of that today. But for most of us who weren't living in New York City or in those places in Pennsylvania, we really didn't experience that too much. Our lives were able to kind of go back, and it was to normal, and it was kind of something that was happening out there. The coronavirus is different. The coronavirus is affecting each and every one of us. And as a nation, we are bearing the grief of so many people, and then bearing the grief of this incredibly crazy year that is calling us to be who we are not, calling us to isolate ourselves when we're hardwired for connection. Forcing us to learn so many new things and to learn in different ways, and nothing feels right. And so there's grief in that as well. And so I've been thinking a lot about that, and how even the little things that I do, you know the drill, right? You all can say it with me. Wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, don't gather with people outside of your household. Those are the things that we can do, but they seem so insignificant right now as we bear this collective grief. So as I was ruminating about these things, musing, shall we say, about these things, I couldn't help but think that the story of Christmas has a lot to offer to us right now. As I ponder 3,000 lives lost in one day, I also ponder a God who dares to become human so that I and everyone else is assured of God's love and salvation through Jesus. To ponder that deeply enough to have it affect how I am in the world. That God loved me so much when that sinks deep into me, then my response can only be to then do that for others, which then makes the fact that I haven't sat at my favorite restaurant since the middle of March a little bit more palatable. Makes the fact that I know people are losing their businesses despite all the ways that I and others have tried to support them a little bit easier, and gives me more impetus to do more. When I listen to kids who are just want to be with their friends in school, it helps me counsel them through this as much as I can, and to seek ways to help. But that doesn't come just because I'm a good person. It comes from the depth of the story that we're about to enter into. So my challenge to myself in these weeks leading up to Christmas is to not get caught up so much in all the doing things, but to sit and be for a little while, and to absorb God's love into myself, so that I can be God's love in the world, and, make it through the grocery store without feeling a sense of doom. That would be nice. So that's what I'm musing about right now, and how we do that together and collectively. I will see you on Saturday. Until then, be well, be kind, for Christ is with you.